Our guests today are two distinguished writers who have bamboozled the internet by writing under the pen name Evelyn Clarke, and they're here today to finally reveal their identity to the world. Their book I've been carrying around for about a week because I couldn't wait to get back to it every time I put it down, which is surely the great test of a fine book. And we're going to talk about it now. We can reveal the authors of the book. It's called The Ending Writes Itself. Welcome. Drum roll in your head. V.E. Schwab and Kat Clarke. Lovely to see you both, and thanks for being here today.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you were here in front of me, I would have put two sheets on top of you and then gone woof and then woof and revealed you properly.
That would have been amazing.
Would you?
Far more dramatic. Dramatic.
Would you have found that kind of weird and offensive, or would you have rolled with the fun of the panto of it?
Loved it. I would have loved it.
We would have gone with it. We would have gone with
it. Okay. Like every good story, let us start at the beginning. Who, why, and where? This is with regard to the idea. Okay, either of you can take the running here. You're both welcome to take the baton. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I'll start. Okay. So Kat and I have been friends for more than 15 years, and we both wrote novels, and then Kat left me. She went over to film industry, and I stayed writing books. And I came to her one day, and I was like, I have a weird little idea. Yeah. Do you want to write a book with me? And Kat said no. And then I was like, no, but you really should write the book with me. And I convinced her.
Good. Yeah. Go on, Kat, sorry.
What you need to know is that V promised that she would never co-write a novel with anyone. And I promised that I would never write another book at all. And here we are, being proven to be complete hypocrites.
Okay, so you're writing a hypocritic. You took a hypocritic oath.
Yes,
which is a writer's version of the medical plan, and you signed as that. And something must have happened for both of you to tiptoe back on these promises. What do you think that was?
I mean, I think it's fun. Like, I think like I have sat at Kat's kitchen table so many times bemoaning publishing, which is why it was so hard to drag her back in. And I think it was just, writing is a really lonely process, and the ability to team up with one of your best friends and just create from scratch like that. It doesn't make it less work, but it makes it less lonely.
Yeah. It's funny whenever you write, whenever I read about writers and the publishing industry. God, you're angry and bitter. What does this what does this business do to you? Tell me.
That is so true. I was going to deny it, and I'm like, no. Although I left the industry feeling very jaded after writing young adult books for several years.
Yeah.
But then I think I forgot what it was like, and so V was able to lure me back in with promises.
Yes, and many, many promises.
Yes,
and promises, candy, chocolate, tea, all of those.
Friendship, and obviously, and maybe a great book at the. So you agreed the essential ingredient, which was the two of us, old pals, back together. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, Bonnie and Clyde, we're back together with our laptops or pens, whatever the way you prefer to approach it. And now we had to get the story, and the story itself is so much fun. And so intriguing as a prospect from the get-go, because anyone who reads anything or goes to a bookshop will know that there's all the different corners of the bookshop with very different people writing very different types of books. So talk to me about the genesis of this idea.
Well, the tiny kernel that I brought to Kat was not The Ending Writes Itself. It was just, I had been out to lunch with some agents, and they had been telling me about all of the faff that a writer goes through when they write like a Star Wars book, and how they have to go into a locked room and sit with the script for the film, and like it's very, very hard. And I thought, oh, that's great. Like, what if multiple authors were all given that kind of like a trial by fire environment? What would come out of it? Yeah. So I came to Kat and I was like, I only write fantasy. So that was my other hypocritic oath. I was like, let's write a thriller. What do you think it is? And essentially, like, I brought the kernel of the idea, these writers having this challenge, but we built everything just from there, layer upon layer, all of our publishing trauma, all of our grievances, all of our personal experiences. It was a very cathartic, Kat, I think you would say, experience.
Yeah,
definitely. Like we didn't really intend to have so much of our publishing trauma on show, but as we were writing about 6 struggling authors and just building these characters, it just naturally came out and we started, we already knew a lot of each other's stories about the business, but we started sharing more and stories of friends of ours. And so they just kind of made their way into the book.
So essentially the two of you, in a metaphorical sense, have just been released after maybe a 2 or 3 month stint in a writer's psychiatric hospital.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, welcome back, and I'm delighted to see it seems to have had the desired effect. Let's get back to the book itself, the ending right itself. You have great fun with the genres and this idea that the romantasy, the fantasy, the science fiction guy, the horror guy, the couple who write the crime novels together. Everyone's looking down on everyone else. I mean, everyone has a nose, and they use that nose to look down. So talk to me about that, because you must have had great fun with that sense of rivalry and that dismissive nature that people might have about other people's work.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all in the same club and we're all trying to do the same thing, but publishing does this weird thing. Because I'm going to blame publishing, not the writers, where it pits us in a kind of zero-sum game against each other, and these hierarchies form based on what like section of the bookstore tends to be most respected. It's not what authors actually respect of each other, but how they're treated differently. And each one of these are genre authors, right? They're not general fiction authors, and genre authors have historically been pitted against each other in this way, where science fiction looks down on fantasy, adult looks down on YA, thriller looks down on romance. And so it felt like each one of them is representative of kind of the culture they've been stewed in.
Yeah. And we have this, Kat, this idea of the island, and we're in Scotland. This author, world famous author, Arthur Fletch, is dead. He's nearly finished his series of multi-million selling books. There's a missing bit at the end, and these people are all brought over to compete to see which one of them might be get a contract, etc., etc. And that's when the blood starts spilling, and boy, does it spill. So tell me a little bit about the setting and the house and the island. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to play with a lot of tropes of the genre, and an isolated setting is perfect for this kind of thing, completely cut off from the outside world. And I'd been doing some looking on property websites, as you do, and I found an island for sale that looked amazing, and it was only £1 million. It was doable, and we just thought, what a great setting. And we both live in Scotland. We love Scotland. It felt like the natural place to set the book, and it allowed us to have terrible weather as well, which is always a big plus in a thriller.
Yeah, so that worked out true, because the pathetic fallacy is singing its own song, isn't it? And I was interviewing Ragnar Jónasson from Iceland recently at the launch of his book, and we were talking about how we're back to therapy again, my friends, and how that, I was asking, are there people in your life who you have such a low opinion of that they end up in your books, so that without having to tell them something, you can just write them in as dastardly characters? Can we expect to see people guessing, oh, I think I know that horror writer, or I think that I might have in a sense that, or are you going to be too polite and say not we're too good for that, we'd never do such a thing?
V, would you like to take that one?
I think any resemblance is completely coincidental, and all of the characters in this book are entirely works of fiction. But what I will say is that
I don't believe a word of that, but go on,
every story, every narrative about publishing in the book, as Kat said before, is either something that happened to us directly or to one of our closest friends. So there's very little that we had to actually generate in terms of the trauma. But the characters themselves, we'll call them archetypes. We'll call them amalgamations of several people each.
Great. Oh, well, actually, that's a great answer, because particularly the first part, because it lends a sort of a less fictional sense to the thing. People who are thinking about publishing in the world of publishing. What I get from this, and indeed other people who write about publishing in a fiction sense, is it's tough out there. It's hard to get published. It's hard to sell books. It's hard to convince people that you're good. I mean, all these writers that you've picked for this book, fictional writers, are all mid. They're in the mid range. That's so depressing, that thought for them. They all don't think they are. They all don't want to be. They all think they're probably a little bit better, but You've kind of alighted on this. You didn't go for the number one best-selling, fictional as they are, writers. Why did you go mid-range?
I think probably for the stakes. They all so desperately want and need this prize. that it immediately heightens the story. And it, publishing is tough. There are way harder jobs in the world, but it's tough in a particular way, and it is lonely, and it can be made to feel like a zero-sum game, even though it isn't. And I think it's important to note that we're also taking the mickey out of ourselves.
Yeah,
that's a lot of the time, particularly V.
And I mean, there's people were guessing, could it be Lucy Foley, Marion Keyes, Richard Osman? Everyone was guessing, and here you are, V. Schwab and Kat Clarke. Great writers in your own right. Anyway, and you, maybe give us a sense of who you were channeling, if you were channeling anyone, when you're pulling the story together. I mean, in terms of crime writers, and you obviously there's a sense of Agatha Christie. Everyone's going to say that to you. Anyone else?
I mean, I think Agatha is such a lodestar, right? In terms of the archetypal format. But Kat and I are both huge readers in general. And I think that's the thing people forget about writers is we read as broadly as any of the characters in the book. And so I think we're also pulling from dual sensibilities, a very American sensibility and a very British sensibility, which are different genres unto themselves. But yeah, I don't think we want to be a direct mashup of anything. We are a mashup. Evelyn Clarke is a mashup.
Well,
yeah, and it's kind of part mystery and part satire, so it doesn't really fit into firmly into the mystery genre. Hopefully, it straddles two genres.
Well, do you know what? It really does. I just loved this book, and I want to congratulate you both on pulling it together and getting it just right. You nailed it. Well done to you both, and I'm delighted for you. The grand reveal was spectacular. I look forward to seeing you in real life soon. But in the meantime, I should say, the authors of The Ending Writes Itself, it's going to be such a big seller in 2026. I've no doubt about it. V. Schwab and Kat Clarke. What a pleasure. Well done, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Virgin Radio.